It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of September 15th, 1995. 7 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and I say that in quotation marks because this was not a big hit, but it was a notable film. Martin Scorsese and Spike Lee working together on Clockers.
Welcome to the show, that never ends.
Oh, Ducci, what you got?
We got a black male dead man, Darryl Adams, 22 years old, the 99 in his joint. Pop, pop, poppity pop, Darryl goes down. Shooter does a Carl Lewis.
Boys, Darryl Adams, the boys.
Hey, Darryl. I reached in my bag. I pulled out the gun. I was scared. I shot. I ran.
What began as a simple confession
This is still a good, solid, closed by arrest.
became a mystery.
He's never been in trouble before. It was a big mistake.
All you gotta do now is tell me the truth. Man, look, I told you already. The guy jumped out of nowhere. I got scared. Bam! Then I ran. You mean bam, 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 bam? What? 4 bullets in the body.
Now, for one man to find the truth,
Something's not right. When I'm working on something, I gotta make it right.
Homicide creeping up.
How you doing, fellas?
another must make a choice
Your brother fessed up. What do you think happened?
Kathleen, Ed told me you talked to the homicide cop.
between loyalty,
Can't take it much longer, man.
Maybe you won't have to take it much longer.
family,
I'm gonna try to get you up out of here, okay? Stay from me.
and survival.
Why'd you lie to me, man?
Am I under arrest or what? We got the shooter.
Locked up the wrong brother.
So Martin Scorsese entered production as the director of this, but he eventually dropped out of production to focus on the other movie that came out in 1995, the much better received Casino, at which point Spike Lee stepped in to direct, and he also polished the script up with Richard Price, who had also worked with him on The Color of Money. So the idea of pairing both Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese together on a project obviously has a lot of potential, and the last time Scorsese teamed up with Richard Price, we got the aforementioned The Color of Money, so it seemed like a good film on all fronts. The idea sounds good on paper, but the overall finished product, it's a very mixed bag to say the least. It's not a terrible movie, but it's largely bolstered by the performances by its leading actors, Harvey Keitel, John Turturro, Delroy Lindo, Mekhi Phifer, Isaiah Washington, Keith David. They're all giving these great performances to keep the film going. Where the film kind of falls apart is in everything else. The script itself is kind of bland compared to the book it's based off of. I actually did read the original book when I picked it up from the library a few years back, and comparing the book to this, the book does a better job of keeping the audience invested in the story than this movie does. I think the script in general for this film is kind of all over the place, jumping to random points in the story, never really have a flowing narrative or having engaging conflicts going on to keep you invested in what's going on. Also, at 128 minutes, the movie drags big time, and it's shocking because the editing is so off in this film, considering that it isn't the same editor that Martin Scorsese usually hires. It's a different editor, so maybe that's why it's so off. But I thought it was Martin Scorsese's usual editor, Thelma Schumacher, but that's not the case. But overall, Clockers is a movie that had so much potential and ambition because of everyone that was involved, but the final product itself is just a mediocre film. I think the performances hold the strongest in here. Everything else just doesn't really work. It just didn't work in the end, unfortunately. This is to me where Spike Lee kind of started falling off into somewhat of a creative slide in the 90s. He'd have some good movies here and there, but this was the first film all around that I could easily say from him I really did not like overall. It's not a bad movie, but it certainly pales in comparison to his other movies, so that's my thoughts on Clockers. So let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Hackers.
In a time of innocence, in a place of freedom, in a land of adventure, a hero rode a horse named Destiny.
Anyway, sorry for the sucky ass quality of that trailer there, but that's actually a rare teaser trailer, and that was the only version I could find there online. I wanted to put that up there because I thought that was a cool concept of what they did with that trailer. This is notably one of the first movies that actually kind of used that as part of the marketing campaign, like the viral marketing campaign, if you will. They set up a website for this movie in 1995 that was allegedly hacked by a group called the Internet Liberation Front. They actually put the stars on there, Angelina Jolie and Johnny Miller. They doodled all over their faces and wrote like graffiti on there, and it was supposedly part of a marketing campaign. And it's kind of a cool concept for this movie overall. It's got a good cast overall. Angelina Jolie in one of her early leading roles. Jesse Bradford, will later be seen in Swim Fan and Clock Stoppers. Matthew Lillard is in here. Fisher Stevens, Lorraine Baracco. Penn Jillette's also in here. So is Wendell Pierce, Mark Anthony, Felicity Huffman too. It's a fun concept overall, just not the best execution. It's kind of like with Clockers in a way. There's so much potential there. There are some cool ideas that they throw in here, especially for the 1990s. This is another one of those movies where they use the internet as part of the plot. We've talked about a couple of them already so far this year with the net, Johnny Mnemonic, Virtuosity, just to name a few, where the computer is used as a pivotal point in the plot. But as far as the film itself goes, there's a lot of potential there. It just doesn't quite reach it because I think most of the writing of this movie feels like it doesn't really know what the internet is or how much of a hacker, how much can hackers really do compared to what we know now. But it's a cool concept, just not the right execution. It's a film that's a very mixed, kind of like with Clockers, like I said, a very mixed bag film. I don't hate it as much as I do with Clockers, but it feels like there's more potential that could have gone into this movie. But I think most notably, this movie showed everybody that, hey, the Angelina Jolie's got some potential as a leading actress, and then, but 5 years later, she ends up winning an Academy Award, so, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all you could say about that one, honestly. So that is Hackers, so let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Angus.
I'm swallowing snot, you know? It doesn't taste like gross.
From the producer of Cool Runnings comes a story about fitting in.
She's definitely a babe.
Talk to her.
Grandpa, she's popular.
Or not.
Let me go! Let me go!
It's a little joke, okay? Watch my butt.
I'm watching it right now. I get the worst pain in my stomach whenever I see her.
I think I know what Rick did with your underwear. The underwear is almost as big as the flag.
This year's Winter Ball Queen will be Melissa LeFevre.
And this year's Winter Ball King is Angus Bethune.
I can't dance. I can't talk to girls.
You're Angus, right?
I know you set it up,
And this is the chance you've wanted your whole life, right?
but I can smash Rick Sanford's face in.
Got a temper, save her for the football field.
I'm not going.
You get to dance with Melissa LeFevre. I'd sell body parts for a chance like that.
You don't have to know how to dance to sweep a girl off her feet. Use what you have in here.
We're gonna turn you from a large, pathetic virgin into a large, pathetic virgin with a new look. This is Wanda.
And she is your date?
She's yours.
Is this a bad time?
When Angus dances with Melissa, she's never gonna look back. Go for it, Angus.
Angus.
Girls look guys who are dangerous, have tattoos, play the guitar. Stick with me. I know these things.
You ever have that one movie where you think you know what it is, you've seen pictures of it, but you just can't remember what the title of it was or what the movie was about or anything like that, but you just remember specific scenes and specific trailers and all that type of stuff? Angus was that type of a movie. I used to see like little photos of this inside the old Disney Adventures magazines, Nickelodeon magazine, I think had it in there too. And it was one of those movies that looked kind of tempting, but I never really got a chance to check it out at any point, mostly because it was kind of hard to find. And this movie apparently has somewhat of a cult following, even though it did not have the financial success that it would, is that you would think something like this would have, or even the right critical reviews. I think it's got a very mixed opinion on Rotten Tomatoes and all that type of stuff, but it's placed on very high on several lists of the greatest cult films ever made. I finally got to watch it a couple years ago, and I'll honestly say that the film more accurately portrays high school life than similar films about adolescence, as it takes kind of a critical view of obesity, bullying, self-esteem, high school inclusiveness, while highlighting the importance of assuring oneself in an ideologically competitive world. They really do capture the element of high school life better than most movies about high school that came out at the time, and have still come out ever since. And from that trailer, you'd think it'd be a little bit predictable and cliche, like most high school movies are, similar to it, and to be fair, there are some elements that we've seen done over and over again. But for the most part, the movie does a good job of trying to avoid many of those cliches as it can. It actually does play around with it, with people's expectations with it. And you really do like this character of Angus. You like that he's much smarter, a much smarter character than what he appears to be on screen. He's an obese kid that's not just there to be the obese kid. He's smart enough to know how to survive high school. He's a very likable character. He's not there to be the cliche fat kid that we see, who has to eat in every scene. There was a ton of movies that had that character. The movie is clever enough to write him as a more likable and approachable character, and it also helps to have a good actor like Charlie Talbot in the role of Angus, who can make this character the way he makes it come across in the film. What I'm trying to say is that you like this character more than you would expect him to be. It makes you disappointed to know that he never really started anything after this movie, except for a couple of bit roles and stuff like Art School Confidential or Spring Breakdown, but never anything to the level of this film. And honestly, the rest of the cast is pretty good. You've got pre-Dawson's Creek James Van Der Beek, a post-Jurassic Park Ariana Richards, a pre-American Pie Chris Owen, good young actors pairing off with accomplished actors like George C. Scott, Kathy Bates, Rita Moreno. It just all comes together so well. I think this movie actually deserves to get more attention than I think it does. It is a fun high school comedy with a lot of really good actors, a good story, a likable main character, and it does teach you some life lessons about just being yourself and standing up to the jocks and the bullies. And if you've never seen this movie before, that'll probably be a good time to check it out if you can find it, but it's definitely worth a search if you can find it. I'm glad I found it a couple of years ago because I've really grown to like this movie since I've seen it, so definitely check out Angus if you can find it. So anyway, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Mute Witness.
It's not over yet.
We've actually seen a couple of movies like this where a mute person is the main focus in the thriller or a horror film. We saw it work in something like Blink. We didn't see it work as well in something like See No Evil with Marlee Matlin. Here, I don't really know for sure because I haven't seen this movie. I can't really say too much about it, but what I found interesting about this is that this was actually one of Alec Guinness's last film roles that he did before he passed away, but that's not even that. He actually shot those scenes nearly a decade before the rest of the movie. Basically, what happened was the director, Anthony Waller, needed an additional scene for his film, and he used the same footage that he got with Alec Guinness when he had a chance to encounter the film with him in Hamburg in 1985, and basically asked him to do a one-scene cameo, took no payment from it, and he did it out of the goodness of his heart, and sure enough, it actually turns into one of the last film roles he ever did, and that's pretty interesting when you consider that the rest of this movie probably wasn't even in the thought of this director at this point, and he found a way to actually use that footage in there, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But as far as the rest of the movie itself goes, it looks kind of interesting. It doesn't really look like anything I need to rush out and see, but I see on here it's getting comparisons to stuff like the original Halloween and Blood Simple, so that's got me excited to at least check it out at some point. I don't have any real interest in seeing it right now, but it's definitely something that I'll keep my eye on in the next couple of months and years maybe to see actually check out, because it actually could be something pretty interesting. So yeah, that's Mute Witness. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Unstrung Heroes.
Pictures presents the motion picture the New York Times calls one of Cannes' sweetest surprises.
Lester!
Funny and touching.
Is Dad from another planet?
Rolling Stone says Unstrung Heroes is a screwball comedy that cuts to the heart. Diane Keaton has directed a rare jewel of a film.
You're the one to watch.
Andy McDowell, John Turturro, Michael Richards, Unstrung Heroes, rated PG. Now playing in select theaters. Check newspaper for showtimes.
So Stephen Linz is very unhappy with his home life since his mother got sick. He goes back and lives with his two crazy uncles. Then he changes and gets closer to his uncles, but his parents want him home, even though he's finally happy and popular. That's pretty much all I know about this movie. I've never even seen it before. This is actually, I believe, the first theatrical directorial debut for Diane Keaton, who had directed a documentary in 1987, and also a TV movie in 91, but I believe this is the first scripted film she ever directed. I think she did one other one, which was Hanging Up. And that was the last one she did. Back at the end of is in 2000. But it's got some good talent in there. Andy McDowell, John Turturro, Michael Richards, Maury Chaykin. Written by Richard Lagravanese. So there are notable people involved in here. That's really all I know about it. It's got some pretty good reviews. So maybe it actually is something kind of an underrated little gem. I never even really heard of it until now. So maybe it's got some potential there. I can't really say for sure because I haven't seen it. I can't really say anything else about it. So, Unstrung Heroes. And it's actually kind of the rest of the movies on here are going to be quick ones as well because I have not seen these other two movies. Starting with this first one here, Robert Duvall in The Stars Fall on Henrietta.
We're talking partners here, partner.
A farmer, an oil man,
Put your ear down on the ground.
I can hear it.
two dreamers
That old man's right.
who have pinned their hopes on the land
Mr. Cards?
and placed their faith
Come here.
in each other.
Hey, here's to luck.
Robert Duvall,
We're almost there.
Francis Fisher,
Really think so?
Aidan Quinn. The stars fell on Henrietta.
So Robert Duvall plays an elderly down-on-his-luck oil man who finds himself in the town of Henrietta, and using unconventional methods, he convinces himself and local Don Day, played by Aidan Quinn, that there's oil on his land. The financially strapped Day puts everything into finding oil, but at what cost? You see Robert Duvall, Aidan Quinn, Francis Fisher, Brian Dennehy, Billy Bob Thornton, Clint Eastwood's daughter Francesca Eastwood's in here, which makes sense because Clint Eastwood's one of the producers on this. That's really all I got for you because I haven't seen it, hardly knew anything about it, and judging by the reviews for it, it seems like it's a mixed bag film. Mostly it might be because the performances are so good, but the rest of the film is kind of mediocre. But again, who knows? Maybe this is an underrated gem that nobody really ever talks about. But so that's pretty much all I know about that one. The Stars Fall on Henrietta. So let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Coldblooded.
Leichter Job. Wo bleibt dein Fisch? Wo bleibt das Dackelgott? Betrachte es als Belohnung.
Ich bin Fisch.
Directed by Wally Wolodarski of The Simpsons fame, stars Jason Priestley as this mob bookie who lives in the basement of a retirement home. He's promoted to a hitman against his will. He learns his new trade from this guy named Steve, a seasoned killer played by Peter Riegert, and he proves to be a natural marksman despite having no experience with firearms. And he falls in love with this yoga teacher played by Kimberly Williams and must figure out a way to leave the mob so they can be together. So, kind of reminds me a little bit of Baby Driver in a way, but you got Janine Garofalo also in here. So you also have Robert Loggia, Jay Kogan, Wolodarski's co-writing partner, Josh Charles, David Anthony Higgins, even Doris Grau from The Simpsons is in here as well. So is Michael J. Fox with a cameo. Some notable names in here. I don't really know anything about the movie itself, so I can't really delve into it, but those names alone definitely piqued my interest. So, again, another one I might check out someday, but as of right now, that's all I got for you on that one. Cold-Blooded. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We got some pretty interesting ones to look at next time around. We have David Fincher's Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. We have the infamous Showgirls. We have the cult classic Empire Records. We have A Month by the Lake. John Candy's last film and the only scripted film by Michael Moore, Canadian Bacon, and also Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. So, a lot of intriguing movies to look at next time around. This one should be a good one, so be on the lookout for that one tomorrow. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.